Well, it is Friday afternoon. It's time for some Friday afternoon fun. So let's do a yesterday's watch review today. A watch I've wanted for a long time, but never picked up, but finally had an opportunity to pick up, was a Darth Tuna. I had somebody offer me an SBBN011. This is the first generation of the Darth Tunas, the 1,000-meter one. The reason I considered this is not only because this one was in really good condition, and it was a one-owner watch. It came from the original watch owner. It even had the original battery in it, and when it came to me, the battery was dead. So we made a deal with the owner, and I really, it was a good deal, and I was able to stretch to do it because I thought that of the tunas, this was the one of the modern Darth Tunas. This was really the best of the models for a couple things. I have problems with a few things. Problems in the sense of, I don't know. I like threes. I like things in threes. I like elements to have balance. This is the only watch that has this JDM. It only has 3 lines in the dial. It has this beautiful, bright, applied Seiko here, which I love because it's a throwback element to earlier Seikos. The 6105s had this all the way back in the the late 60s, in the early 70s. They had this applied Seiko, and then it just says professional 1,000-meter. The old black PVD was not durable, and so the old like 80s PVD watches, they tended to look terrible. But this new ion plating, which is what I believe this is extremely durable, and it makes for just a really attractive watch. One of the things I like about this too, so they have these callbacks. I'm all about Seiko making a decent effort at doing callbacks to earlier models. So they have this, beautiful frosted Seiko, but in true tuna fashion, this is one of their half tunas or sort of tunas. This thing was not designed as a fashion watch. This first model, when it came out, it was the first tuna that came with a sapphire crystal, and Seiko strapped one of these to the outside of a bathyscaphe, and they sent it down to well below its crush depth or its depth rating. And the watch stopped running apparently around 3,000 meters. And the only reason that it stopped running is that the crystal was pressed in far enough that it touched the sweep hand. But beyond that, it was fine. Pretty amazing. Anyway, so talking about callbacks and my problem with the number 3s, and I like things to have balance, is this is, for me now, the third in the series of sort of completing series of professional dive watches. So I start off here now with the dusty crystalled grandfather tuna, and then the golden tuna from the 1980s, and then the Darth tuna. What's cool about it though is that Seiko uses essentially the same case. Good thing that ion plating's in good condition. They use the same case styles, the same kind of back. I mean, the elements are a little smaller, the Tsunami's a little tighter and everything else like that, but beyond that, the elements are all the same. I think even the crowns swap across, and I know there's a lot of commonality between the 7549 and the 7C46 cases. Visually, obviously, these have the same kind of shrouds. I mean, different plating, of course, but the shape is the same, and this uses Torx or hex instead of the screw here, but they really tried to hold firm. I mean, and what's crazy is that people think of it as the grandfather tuna as being this monster. What's interesting is that the only thing that's really different in the element between the grandfather tuna and the later tunas is this skirt right here. This shroud will fit on this watch. This shroud will fit on this watch. They're the same. It's just this skirt they got rid of. That's the only thing. And that's the skirt is what gives this watch its sort of visual heft and weight. Other than that, though, man, they came up with something special. So for me, it was very much a worthy successor, this Darth Tuna. I mean, they did a lot of really good stuff. The only thing I didn't really like about it is the original Darth Tuna strap. It's got this same kind of, plating on it and stuff like this, but I don't like this wiggle waggle strap. It adds too much bulk to the outside. And I don't like the standard Z22 because the color is kind of weird. It's kind of a gray. So what I actually did for me is I went and I found this is like a cheapo generic strap that was in my strap box. It's like a knockoff Z22 with this wave thing on it, but it has actually this bright black glossy finish to it, which matches the watch, which I like. I put a genuine Seiko buckle on it, and I think it looks really nice, and I really like it. I think it's great. So again, this is, I think, the really best one. The newer Darth Tunas are, they're busier. They have more dial text and stuff like that. I mean, they're minor changes, but I think in terms of just cleanliness of design, this is really, they did a really nice job. And I love the fact that it's not even a callback or an homage to these earlier ones. It's clearly in the same designer lineage, and they didn't cut any corners. It's the same thing. It's still a professional dive watch. And so I think it's cool. I'm very happy with it. So anyway, yesterday's watch today. I finally got around to getting a mid-2000s Darth Tuna. It's a cool watch, huh? I love that applied white Seiko, silver white Seiko. That's one of the things that just jumped out at me, and the fact that it just says professional 1000 meter. They did such a nice job on that. Cool. Okay. Well, fun little video. Thank you.